Well, that should be all of the sanding on the actual body, other than down the bottom of the rear quarter here and on the other side and somewhere else. I can't think where. I've found a couple of little spots of rust, so I'll need to go through, cut that out, plate it, body fill it, and then epoxy it. So I'll do that before I do the final epoxy here. I'll spin you around. So this is what we're talking about. Down here, there's a few little spots. I knew of these before, that's right, I think one's here. No, not there, no. Must be the other side. Same on this side, tiny little spots, mainly that one there and one there. Oh, that's right, and one just there. So I'll cut those out and fix them. Got all the doors done, got everything pre-sanded. So again, these areas will be re-epoxied, these spots that need to be done, and then there's areas that haven't been done at all. So obviously I've got to mask up and all that. With the windows, I was tempted to sand all this back and get it into epoxy at the same time, but I'm probably going to regret this later. I'm going to do them separately. I don't want to take the windows out because it all seems a little bit too hard. So I'll probably mask up the entire car other than those frames and sand those and prep and paint those. Still not sure if I'll do them in the original silver or whether I'll do them in the body colour or a feature colour or silver or black, if I didn't say that. Whatever, one of those combinations. Remember, there is some chrome trim around the upper parts of the windows and so on. So comment, what do you reckon? What colour should I do them? Okay, once again, I'm all covered in junk. That's okay. So I have sanded the doors, the guards and the tailgate. I haven't done the inside of them because I remembered I might not be painting the inside, so I'll do those as a whole separate issue. I'll do all the outsides and then I'll worry about the insides later. But what I've got, so these 4 items here, mudguard, door and tailgate, they all need very minor repairs. So there's a spot here that I need to put some body filler on. Other than that, it's all good to go. This one, it's got a dent here that I need to put some body filler on. This one over here, got a little dent there that I could try and sand out, but I think it's just a little bit too deep. So body filler, so it'll probably end up about this size. And then the tailgate, what did it have? Nothing. That's right, tailgate was good. So it's all ready to go as well. So I'm very, very happy with that. I've made a heap of progress, and the next thing that you see me do is a bit of body filler, but after that this thing will be getting masked up, ready for hopefully its final coat of epoxy. And that's good, because it's taken me several days to do this. I don't show you very much obviously, but there's literally 3 or 4 days, I've lost track in this. And I just keep going through sanding disc after sanding disc and paper after paper and so on and so forth. But that's the way it goes. You can't get the detail, so you can't get the finish without that. I tell a lie. Next thing I'm going to do is not going to be body filler mask and all that. I need to do the body filler, but then I forgot, I've got to fix those spots of rust, so there'll be a bit of welding, a bit more body filler before I do primer. But we will get there. While I'm on the subject of body filler, I have been using this U-Pole Fantastic Lightweight Body Filler, and a trick that I learnt the other day was to make this flow more right out of the can. I've actually thinned it down, I guess, with fiberglass resin. Now, fiberglass resin I also add to my fiberglass filler for the same reason, but I'd never thought to do it with body filler before. But a professional recommended that this was a good thing to do, and I thought, well, I'm going to give it a go. And I tell you what, it was a game changer for me. The main thing to bear in mind is that the active constituent, main ingredient in this is styrene. That's in the body filler, and that is the same thing that this resin is, so styrene. So all I did was I got this tin, and before I did anything, I put about half of that tin in there. Now the person recommended putting about 10% in, so but it doesn't matter how much goes in there, except that the more you put in, the runnier it makes. But 10% was the recommended good starting point. And if you want it even more flowing than that, then put more in. And I've got to tell you, it's a massive difference. Really, really different. When it goes on, this goes on like a glossy, it's self-leveling type thing. It's incredible. And it feather edges. So, look, I recommend it, is all I can say. I'm doing it. I've never done it before, and it has really made a difference. And it's really going to make a difference to the really little areas that I need to fill. These very, very fine areas, I'll be able to feather edge it out nicely. Doesn't affect anything else. Doesn't affect the set. Doesn't affect how hard it goes when you can sand it or anything like that. Just makes it easy to use. It's almost too good to be true. All done. Gone. I don't remember where this one was. No, that there. Might still look like it's got a dip, but it hasn't. That's come out nicely. And over here. All gone. Beautiful. And I did fix a tiny little pinhole, or two actually. There was one here somewhere and no, one down there. But that that putty with the resin in it, as I said, just flows out beautifully. Just hand sand it off very quickly. Rust next. Just about to finish up for the night, and this shed gets quite dewy, and it all starts dripping down from that top hat just there. So as it in the morning, as it gets cooler and cooler, it runs down, hits that beam for some reason, that top hat, and drips down. So I try not to put things under it, but it also doesn't hurt just to cover things over as well. So I'd prefer moisture not to get onto that fresh metal that I've just bare metalled until I get some epoxy on it. So we'll keep it safe. In the meantime, I've just dragged the bonnet from over here, the hood from off the International, and I've put it here. It's been sitting around and it's got all sorts of junk all over it, all sorts of contaminants, from dust to grinding dust to oil, WD-40, whatever I've been using. Same as everything else, but this was quite putrid. So I've just given it a good soak with glass cleaner and just scrubbing it up with a Scotch-Brite. So that'll get any oil and contaminants off it before I start doing any work to it. Looks like it needs a little bit of a rust repair across the front here, and I think from memory the the latch needs welding. There's a couple of little surface rust spots just here, so it's not going to be any different to any of the other panels. I don't know if it's got dents in it, I can't remember, but I'll work that out tomorrow. So I'll give it a good clean and have it ready to go tomorrow. Now that looks a bit better. So it's got a few dents. I can see a dent here. You can probably see that as it passes by the light. There's a couple of others. As I said, a little bit of rust. This paint is in really bad shape. Not only has it got rust stains all over it, and that was my doing by putting it out in the weather with grinding dust all over it, but it's got all the paints bubbling. It's you can see there, it's all bubbling underneath it, and there's evidence of it coming off there. Probably humidity bubbles, I would say. As I've said before, getting damp, getting underneath the layers of whatever's going on there, that'll happen. So a little bit of work to do to this, no more than the rest of the car. There's a dent where that scratch is there. Overall, not too bad. So that'll be a big harsh sand back, bit of body work, bit of rust repair, and then prep for epoxy. So I'll paint that at the same time as I paint everything else. And I've got to do the underside of this as well. Needs a good clean as well. That'll come in time. And since there's no time like the present, that time is now. So you can see it's pretty grotty under here. I've given this a clean like the rest of the car when I first got it, but there's all this sootiness under there, so I don't know whether it means there was an engine bay fire at some point in time or whether the motor was just really smoky. I imagine it's probably blowback from the motor just coming up onto the bottom of the hood. So I'll give that a good scrub up. And that's the repair that's needed there. That's just broken away, not hard. Got the Datsun lifted up nice and high so that I can get into it to fix those few spots of rust. There, almost unnoticeable. I think there's a dent just here, something I've got to fix. Yeah, dent just there. And a bit under here. So got it nice and high so I don't have to crawl around on the ground. And look at this. This is the world's smallest pumpkin. Look at that. That thing is about the size of my hand. It's a bit hard to show you on video, but it's tiny. Okay, let's start cutting stuff up. Okay, so this is the rear quarter on the driver's side, the right-hand side for those in America. And I've got to fix this rust, and I was going to cut it out and patch it, but I don't think I'm going to do it that way. I think what I'm going to do is remove it for sure. I'll find what I can. And then I think I'll just cut it out or use a die grinder or something like that just to cut back to clean metal, because there's really not much going on there. And I'm going to fiberglass it because I really don't feel that for what it is, it's worth going through the process of welding it. Fiberglass doesn't rust, and if there's no metal there, it should be fine. No, sorry, if there's no rust there, it should be fine. So I don't feel there's anything wrong with that as a solution because it's tiny. So I'm going to do that. I'm convinced this is the right way to go. I think it'd be silly to try and, or not try, to cut that out and weld it up. It's just unnecessary. So those holes are only about 7 or 8 mil across. So what's that, 1/3 of an inch, if that. So yeah, I've just ground those out, completely clean metal. So I'm just going to, and then I just tapped it in with a ball peen hammer just a little bit so that when I fill it, it doesn't bulge out past the original body line. It's just slightly shallow so that once I fill it, the original body line will come back again. I think that'll be absolutely fine. Other side of the car, so passenger side, left-hand side, driver's side if you're in America. So this here, to give you an idea how big this screwdriver is, that's my finger. So you can see how small that hole is just there. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll just get back to clean metal. And then down here, a bit bigger. Where are we? Bit bigger, but not a lot. That might be a spot there. Maybe not. Could be a little spot there. Maybe there's a little bit there. So I'll dig it out, but again, they're tiny little things. It's just not worth cracking the welder out for this. Once again, this area here, I'm more than happy to do fiberglass there. This area here, the last bit, it's just on the slightly larger size. That's my pinky finger. You can see proportionately. So I'm just going to cut that section out and put a new piece in there. I think that justifies it. And I can have a look in there. What I notice is that underneath the sill, there's some little holes there, as there is on all cars. And once again, you put some compressed air in there and dust comes out. But you can see it's not surprising that stuff gets caught here. It's right at the end, it's in the corner, it's near the wheel. There's a little hole here for the chrome strip that goes down the side. If anything's going to get in, any little bits of dust, it can just build up in that corner and stay there. So, and it's the same in this spot here, and I guess there as well, just down the bottom of the seam where it just can't escape. Even though there's holes there, if they get blocked and the stuff sits there, then it's just going to trap moisture and rust. But I have to say, this car is a pretty good car. Other than in the doors and the guards, the body is pretty much pristine. Almost makes me want to fall in love with it. I won't, but you know, I could. I've got to cut this out. Okay, so got this rear piece cut out. I didn't know there was rust there, but as I was cutting the front out, I saw rust in the back there. That's Sam welding in the background. So I've taken a whole piece out there. It's what, a couple of inches high, inch wide. This piece at the front's about 3.5 inches wide, high, inch wide. So I'll make up a piece for the back, put that in, weld it. I'll weld it from the front, but later on I will go underneath the car. Needs a bigger hammer. I'll go underneath the car and I'll make sure that it's all fixed up from the back, but I'll worry about that later. And then after I've done that, I'll do this part here. I think once I do get the back piece in, I might treat it with a bit of rust converter and so on. It actually looks pretty good in there. It's not too bad at all, but I'll do it anyway. Can't weld at the moment because Sam's got that, but I will, because I don't think I ever need the rust converter. There's no rust in there, but I will do the fiberglass in the meantime. Okay, so got that fiberglass and body filled. My camera went flat partway through the welding, finishing the welding, but you get the idea. So little dent just there. The section over here, actually I've got to sand that edge. Section here, recreated that line down through there. And then the few spots that were down here, it's come up very nicely. And this is where I was doing the welding when you last saw me. So it came up well. A little bit of fiberglass, a little bit of body filler. Beautiful. That was the job. Other than sanding this little bit back here, wherever it was, other than sanding this bit back here, I am ready to mask this thing up for its final coat of epoxy. Well, we are really making progress. I am masking the Datsun up, ready for its epoxy primer. I've got it jacked up, just took the back wheels off so I can get into the lips on the inner guards a bit better. I'll throw some sheets and so on over some of the drivetrain, but I'm not really worried if I get some overspray on there because it'll all be painted anyway. So I'm back masking most areas, so that means this is the sticky side of the tape. So I've just got it stuck on from this side, and you'll see this is the area that I want to be painting to. And the same thing here, I want to paint these hinges, or at least the parts that stick out here. I'll leave the rest of it interior colour, but I want this to match the colour of the tailgate. So yeah, back masking. So what will happen is that I'll go through and I'll push paper. You can use plastic as well, but I'll push paper onto the tape, and it gives a nice soft edge to the paint. So when I peel the tape off, it won't give a real sharp edge. It'll just give a soft edge. It'll be a straight edge, but it'll be soft, so it won't be really sharp and harsh. With this area here, because I need to paint this area below the window, and I don't want to take the windows out through fear of breaking the rubbers, or the fact that I actually can't peel the rubbers back to get to what is mounting the hinges. And I don't know, that could be rivets, it could be screws. I don't want to damage the seals to try and find out. So I've actually had to triple mask this. So I need to paint around here, I need to paint around here, and I need to paint this part. Don't want to paint the windows just at the moment, or don't want to paint the windows at all, but don't want to paint the window frames. So I've masked as closely as I can to the seals, and then I need to have this so I can open it, simply so I can paint that bit in there, because I can't get to it all otherwise. So hopefully I'll be able to get to most of it, and the same with this lip up the top here. So I'll probably just chalk it out a bit, do in there, so when I do my painting with the epoxy, but especially with the final coat, I'll go around and do all of the door openings and all that sort of stuff, and I'll have the doors back on when it comes to paint time as well. So I'll probably go through and paint all the door jambs and everything, probably paint all the door jambs and everything in body colour before I reassemble it, so that I can then put the doors on, close the doors, and do a closed door respray. That's I know that when professionals paint cars, they always do that area as a separate thing, and I will follow their lead, since that's what they do for a living. So I've got the engine bay masked up. There's actually still a sheet over the engine as well, and I'm painting right the way out to this lip here. Part of it will be soon, but that way, when and if I do the engine bay, it can flow. And the same thing, so back masking here just to that under lip of the radio support or core support, and I've just covered a few things just to stop some overspray coming through, so just a few little holes and things. Got my electricals taped so that I don't end up with overspray on those. Got the radiator taped up, and I've just got a bit of tape on some of those openings. Anything else I don't mind if it gets paint on, including the suspension and that down the bottom there, because once again I'll be painting that. It'll all be painted black later, but I will drape something over all the steering and suspension and try and prevent painting it, but I'll only be painting sort of to these areas, so it'll only be overspray from a distance that goes onto the sheets. I'll make sure to leave as many bolts and screws into the openings as possible. And the reason being, I want those body colour, but I've got them screwed in so the threads don't end up coated in paint. The little hinge pockets get paint in there. So I'm still yet to mask this one, but I will go through and I'll put some tape on the back of this hole for this seat belt, like I've done over there, just so I don't get too much carrying through into the interior. History tells me I'll probably end up painting the inside, but at this point in time it's not what I'm doing, so I'm preparing accordingly. I will just, yeah, I'll have a look. The springs have already got paint on them from the previous paint job, but yeah, I'll just go through and just protect as much as I can, and weather pending, I'm going to throw some epoxy on this tomorrow. And then I'll have to strip it all off, take all of the mask off, sand it all, wash it, prep it, pre-wash it, all that sort of stuff, mask it all back up again, then wash it with some wax and grease remover and all that sort of stuff again before I finally paint it. I'm a little bit concerned about my environment here for painting because it is a little bit of a dust collection. So I can either do it here or I can do it where Clive the GMC is, which Sam's been painting some parts and reassembling. I could do it out here because it is a cleaner environment. The other issue I have with this area out here is that this concrete floor, every time you sweep it, it dusts up. One day I'll sweep right the way down to the reinforcing mesh. It's just a really dusty slab. I'll have to seal that at some stage. And the only thing that I haven't prepared is the bonnet, the hood, but we'll get to that. So we are going well. Okay, so what you've just watched me do is go around and mask everything up. As I said, I'd already put the back masking on and I'd done the windows and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully you saw what I did there. The tape was sticky side out and I've just got the paper and pushed it onto the tape, just making sure that it's firm. Also making sure, and you will have seen me do it on the inner guards, I went around and cleaned all the edges I was going to be sticking to beforehand, other than the inner guards. And with these areas, I cleaned them with glass cleaner. Under the guards, I didn't do that. I just dusted it off. And I pushed the tape onto there. This one here, it was a bit loose when I was putting the second one on. So what I did, I pre-taped the second sheet of paper. I just did that on my work platform. And I just needed some handles to pull it out so I could push it against it. So just so I could push the tape without tearing it. This paper is pretty strong, but it'll tear. I also draped the wheels with old fitted bed sheets, tuck them in, excuse the joke, I tuck them in so that when I'm dragging the air hose around, it can go underneath without pulling them off. So it's all clear floor under here other than the jack stands. I taped up the exhaust pipe so that I don't paint it. And up around here, as I said, I want the hinges to be painted. So I've masked anything within the car, and it's just the part that's sticking out that'll get painted. And I had already back taped all around there, so I could just push the paper on, and then I just sort of pushed it in to get it to fit. The idea is I want it to be as tight as possible. So, and I wasn't going to tape the brakes and all that on the back, but I decided I would, just so that I didn't get the paint on the brake pipes and the shock absorbers more than anything else. I try and hold it in place as best I can because there is going to be air pressure here. It's low air pressure, it'd only be about 28, 30 psi, so it shouldn't blow it around too much. But I'm pretty sure, I'll get overspray on the leaf springs and that, I don't care. They'll be painted black, as I said earlier. So I'm pretty sure that I am ready to go, other than the wipe down. So I won't do that until tomorrow because it might get dust on it tonight. So actually I'm going to a hot rod show in the morning, so a bit of a coffee and cars, a hot rod coffee and cars. Might take a couple of photos or a bit of a video and pop that on in here as well, just out of interest, a couple of minutes. So ready to go. And as I said, I'll paint the guards and bonnet and everything, guards and everything. I'm not sure that I'll get the bonnet done. I should, while I got the epoxy mixed up, but I don't know. Not feeling it at the moment. So, excellent. I'm very happy with that. Oh, and I've got that platform. When I go to paint the roof, it'll be beside the car so I can reach the roof because it's a really tall thing. It's not, but it's up higher than normal. So I'll be able to get up here and get to those spots. Excited to get this whole thing in epoxy. Okay, until tomorrow, I'm going to get warm. Okay, so what you've just watched me do is go around and mask everything up. Excited to get this whole thing in epoxy. Okay, until tomorrow, I'm going to get warm. Absolutely beautiful day here today. I've been out to a coffee and cars hot rod thing this morning. It's actually about 2:30 now, so I'm starting quite late. But I have the panels out here. I've glass cleaned them and I've got them all masked up, which is in the opposite order. And so they're all ready. The sides that you see are all ready to go into epoxy. I'm outdoors. I wouldn't be painting my finish out here, but it's if it gets a bit of dust in, it's not the end of the world. I do need to do the actual outside of the tailgate as well, but I'll do the inside first. It's the only panel that I'm painting the inside of. It was pretty knocked around and I had to do some rust repairs to it and so on, so I'll have to try and match the colour of that to the interior if that's the path that I go down. You've seen the car masked up. I've actually thrown a few drop sheets over things just because I had them. I'm just about to mix up the epoxy. I'll probably go through about 2 litres. I think I'll just knock up a litre in the first place, see how I go. I used a litre on what I did previously, so I didn't get enough coats on everything and I was doing less panels, so I'm anticipating 2 litres. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to mix that up, have it all sitting there ready to go. Then I'm going to wipe the car down with wax and grease remover. With glass cleaner, then wax and grease remover, and I'll do everything out here with wax and grease remover just before I walk out there. So let's get into it. Okay, so I thought it seemed logical to glass clean it before I mix the epoxy so that the glass cleaner can dry off before I put the clean it down with wax and grease remover. To give you an idea, this is the cloth that I've just used. It's a microfiber. It wasn't brand new, but it was clean, and there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it whatsoever, and the reason being is that I've been keeping everything as clean as I possibly can right the way along, other than dust. But before I've sanded anything, I've cleaned it. Before I've taped anything, I've cleaned it. So when I've gone around, I didn't find any surprise areas that I had missed. One little spot up the front near the headlight, a little bit of dust fell out, so I'm just going to go and blow that out. But other than that, I'm happy with it. So now it's time to mix the epoxy and then give it a wipe down with wax and grease remover and then paint. Righto, so I've got 2 coats on these panels out here, 2 additional coats on top of what they may have already had, and then I've got 2 coats on the car, and I'm going to put a 3rd coat on the roof. It's going to be quite visible, and there was a few little areas that I worked on. I should really have gone through, and I knew this and forgot, I should really have gone through and sprayed over patches that I'd sanded through deeper to build them up a bit in the first place. Wow, it stinks in here. But I didn't do that. But anyway, as you can see, got a fair bit. I've got a heap of paint runs. Around this window area, a pretty severe paint run there. Doesn't matter, it's primer, it'll sand out, but I tell you what, I'm going to have to be careful when I'm painting the car. When I opened that window out to get inside there, I concentrated way too much paint in that area, and it built up. And the same thing happened to me around the grill area. Again, it'll sand out, and I'm not particularly concerned, but there's a heap of paint runs along the front here, and that's because I was trying to get paint in behind there and then on front, and I didn't change the jet. I was using a wide jet, so yeah, there's some runs through there, but we'll live. As I said, it'll sand out, it's only primer. I have tried to build up the corners wherever I can so that I don't rub through. I think I've been pretty consistent with my coats, and I think I've got everywhere I need to. Again, still need to do the bonnet or the hood. Haven't done the outside of the tailgate yet, have done the inside. It's not getting any more coats. The guards, as I said, they've come up not too bad. I'm not sure if there's any runs on those, but there was lots of little imperfections, and I can see them when I'm going through. There's a couple of little visible dents and things here. They might sand out with the primer, but what I can tell you is it's going to have to be good enough, because once I sand this back, they will be paint ready as far as I'm concerned, other than the fact that I haven't finished painting them. So I'm just letting this flash off a little bit more. I went in a bit heavy on the first coat, and I think that's why I ran. I put 20% thinners in it, which is what I did with the last coats I did, but this primer is new, whereas that other stuff has been sitting around for a little while, so I suspect I may have watered it down or thinned it down a little bit too much. But it is what it is. I'll work with it. But yeah, there's lots of little dents and things showing up as I stand here. That's okay. I can live with that. Very happy with it. It's looking good. Let's have a quick look at the roof. Yep. Looks like eggshell. Basically, there's lots of orange peel on it. If you got any tips of the trade of how to avoid that with primer, let me know. I don't know if you can get this stuff to lay down better than that or not, but it'll sand out. A little bit more elbow grease.